Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for coming back for our closing session. You can see we've got the amazing panel of women, some of which you met today. Toddi, who is like our superstar of the day. It was a great day, and we were all just sort of geeking out on how amazing the speakers were. And we'd like to go around and talk to you guys about what we saw today and what we were impacted by, and really kind of what were some of the things we're going to take away. And I'll tell you guys, I have a laundry list of reading. Let's see, Heather Younger's book, Sarah's book, and I need to put my portfolio together because that was just brilliant. And really for me, like the common themes today were so powerful. Self-care, self-reflection, psychological safety, and not letting anyone tell you what you're worth, because we all know what we're worth. And we just have to own that and live in it. So for me, it was just like beautiful and empowering. And now I'm going to let someone else talk. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Toddi, since I owe you one. You're on.
All right. So you guys can hear me okay? I hope. I dropped my mic. So yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing day. Seriously, amazing day. And I have to concur. I think we've had some common themes that we've encountered, and the word I would probably take away above all else is resilience, and with the idea of building resilience, because I think that's something that we've been doing for all of us, for not just during COVID. As women in our field, I think that we've been building resilience for a long time, and I'm just overwhelmed by some of the stories that I've heard today. So I'm excited. I know that we also I have some takeaways that I personally have from the session I've heard today, and those are how can I be better at getting women into the fold and promoting my sisters and getting improved roles, improved jobs, more confidence, that kind of thing. And so I feel empowered to do more of that now. Especially after listening to Heather this morning, that I have that skill set now to really look at it and say, okay, how can I assess what somebody needs as a woman in a field, and how can I help them build that skill set? I mean, that's always been an innate thing. I think just as a trainer and a learning developer, we do that innately. We look for ways to help people succeed. But I think I'm much more mindful of it now today, that it's an imperative, and it's an imperative especially for women in this field. So anyway, I could go on for hours on this. I'd love to let somebody else step in and give us some thoughts on what today meant. So.
Well, Toddi, I'll piggyback on what you said, which one of the ones, a couple of really, I mean, every session was just so impactful. And I got so much out of every single speaker. And when I think about little action items that I've written down and will be taking action on, two really stick with me. And one, I think, again, to piggyback on what you said, is not just to look around and see who's fanning my flames. Like, I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of that, but whose flames am I fanning? And where can I contribute? Where can I give back? And then combining that with what I learned and what I heard today around intersectionality, and really helping bring that conversation. And before that session, or even towards the beginning of that session, I was a little bit like, who am I to drive these conversations? I'm white, I'm entitled in many ways. And so, what I heard, what I got from that is that actually that can be, how I'm an ally. That can be how I can help make the change, or shift things and drive that conversation. And so there was a level of freedom that I got out of that conversation that I didn't have going in, which was really great. I've actually already forwarded the notes to my boss and said, hey, I'd really like to lead this conversation with our team, and moving on. So. And
the worksheet that Megan and Jessica presented, I'm like, wow. Yeah. Just wow. So that was a great session. Super cool. Michelle.
Hey.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah. No, I really, really enjoyed the day, and it's been such a great reminder to know that there actually is a network out there. I think sometimes, I know for me, working at home and even working on Zoom with a team, I'm not necessarily working with other people, other L&D professionals, and didn't really even realize how disconnected I was feeling. So now I'm feeling reconnected and re-energized. As far as today goes, I mean, I feel like, the messages are, be empowered, believe in yourself, show empathy, and be aware of others around you. We all have something to offer, and we should stand up and have a voice and take care of ourselves. So I really appreciate all the speakers that came on, and I particularly love the last session that we just had, because everybody was sharing, and or the panelists were sharing, and even people in the chat were sharing, and there was a vulnerability there, and it just felt like, again, I just felt like I was connecting with everybody. So I'm just very appreciative of the day, and looking forward to continuing on.
I mean, in this community, there's probably very little need to be disconnected. Oh, getting echo here somewhere. So, yeah, Molly, I don't know, maybe it's something, maybe somebody's got two speakers open. Okay, all right. Cool. Elizabeth, are you on? I don't know. She might have been at a meeting. Elizabeth? Bueller? Oh, wow. Okay. Very good. So I was just thinking about this too. So are there some concrete things that we can do to, like, lift up our sisters in the workplace? Does anybody have a takeaway? And I'm looking at the chat actually in here. If you've got ideas that you came away with, if you want to put them in the chat, that would be great too. But if you guys want to, talk about anything that was specific that you thought about, I was actually really impacted by hearing Jessica talk so openly about, how important it is, her identity as a Black woman, but as a Black, woman who's queer, who identifies as queer. And so I actually can completely understand that. I have, my podcast is in, I've got a booth in the expo, but the podcast that I actually help manage is really focused on the LGBTQ music community. And so, a part of what I did with that was, because I didn't feel like I was the right person to host that podcast, I actually, my friend Jeremy, who also identifies as queer, as the primary host for that. But and I felt like that was more empowering, for the artists that we were bringing on. But how can we help each other in our workplaces? Any thoughts in particular?
I think Jessica said it really well in their session when she talked about advocacy and speaking up and making sure that you're defending, you're going in, and you're not just sitting by and you're not just watching. And I think for me that was really powerful and has been challenging throughout my career, especially during my time as an HR professional, where you're like serving different masters and trying to keep a business going, and you're trying to keep your job, and you're learning. And I think that's probably why I'm a recovering HR person. But seriously, it's that's what you can do, not just sitting by and just being there and really asking, actually, what can I do, rather than thinking we know, because we don't know. We don't know. I loved it when Megan said, I'm privileged, because that's how I feel. I'm privileged. I have nothing to say, but there's a lot I can say. And there's certainly a lot of things that we can all say and believe to just be advocates.
Yeah, I think acknowledging that privilege is one of the first steps to being able to say, okay, that's a real thing for sure.
It is.
And once you can acknowledge that, then you can realize that somebody else doesn't have that privilege.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, Molly, I haven't heard from you.
This has been a wonderful day, even though I had technical issues this morning. Just the thought of the resiliency and counting on each other. This is a wonderful community, and, just to learn from each other, share the knowledge, grow. I'm going to stop there because I'm going to get teary-eyed. So, yeah, it's just been a wonderful day to support each other. And, even though Luis thinks he was the only man here, it's been a great day of sessions, and everybody has had excellent advice, whether it's in the chat or on the panel. It's just, we have to remember that through these times that we do need to count on each other. And this is, I can't express more. I think everybody's heard it throughout the day, is this is a wonderful community. And so, yeah, Luis, I know you're behind the scenes too, so thank you. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I have a huge shout out for Luis and the TLDC, platform for basically, saying, okay, TLDC is going to host this event. TLDC as an organization is just, it's a wonderful resource. I mean, there's a lot of free tools and a lot of things that they do, and a lot of community that's built as part of TLDC, which is, a broader, more encompassing organization rather than, just the women here. So, but, I'm really grateful to that. And I'm grateful to Luis. And let me tell you, Molly did a lot of behind the scenes too. So she's been that person whose picture was hidden all day long, but she was there making sure things were working. So very cool. So Elizabeth, I just wanted to see if you were there, or if you're, I'm not sure if she is. I think she may have had a meeting. We've all been balanced.
She's not going to be able to join us.
Okay, gotcha. No worries. So any final thoughts that you guys want to add, or any questions you want to ask, or comments you want to, bring out from the chat? I mean, so I just saw something on here too. Chris said a job board. She said, I wish I had a job board or something. So Chris, I was just looking, I want to respond to this. We actually have the Slack channel for TLDC. So if you go to thetldc.com, there is actually a tab on there where you can join our Slack channel, where we do have job board, and it's really kind of informal. But it's kind of, I think the beauty of it is that, people know about things and they put them up there. Because, if you've got things that, or needs, we have 1,000 people who probably would qualify, and maybe a few that are looking for sure. So definitely, and those are the resources that we have through the TLDC platform. We've got the Slack channel, we've got the YouTube, we've got the podcast, we've got the events. We've got behind the scenes content if you're a full-up member. But Luis makes all of this stuff available to us for free. So definitely check it out, Chris. So, anybody else have some things they want to add here?
Also, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Molly, go ahead.
I was going to say also, I believe Luis will be sending out a link. We have a booth, but it's to give feedback and what your takeaways were, what your favorite session was. Even give us information that can possibly make this better. And it's also pinned in the main feed as well. So thank you all for joining us. And I do have to say something too to the team behind the scenes, is you guys have been wonderful. And you, I know that I was swept in at the last minute, but I'd been talking to Luis and Toddi about this for a while. And I mean, you guys have been amazing. So thank you very much.
Cool. Yeah, that booth actually, so there's 2 questions that kind of measure your assessment, and then it goes to an option to either record audio or record video. And, if you record video, then it can become a video testimonial. So, a favorite speaker or something that really moved you, I'd encourage people to do that if you can. It would be great if you could. And actually, Heather, I know you had something else to say too, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, thank you. I just really wanted briefly to acknowledge everybody from the speakers and the chat who attended and participated today, specifically for the level of authenticity and vulnerability that was demonstrated. And what I really got for myself in that is how often I hold back because I want to be polished, or I want to do the right thing or say the right thing. And I got a whole new access to a level of freedom today, and contribution because of who you were and how you showed up, that I didn't have morning. And so I just want to acknowledge everybody for that. Thank you.
It makes me really happy to hear that. Actually, really happy, because we all need to be our authentic selves and bring our authentic selves, because we have a ton of skills behind that. I can tell you that I lived as like the imposter for years. I was a military trainer for the Army. I went out and I trained men primarily on how to use Army robotics, and kept thinking, how did I get here? But I had a boss actually at the time who was supportive of me and said, hey, you know what? You're the expert. Go do this. Go manage it. Like, here's your budget. Oh, here's your team. Again, how did I get here? It took a long time before I, was able to recognize that, I was there because I knew what I was doing. And, I remember when I created a simulation, this is the days before, Molly, before we called it VR or XR. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was called. But I created a simulated, essentially a training system for the robotics. So we didn't kill robots. We could actually do them on a computer. And I remember doing it. And one of my field service guys came to me and he says, this has your fingerprints all over it. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, you just took it and developed it so that it works. And I'm like, oh, cool. So again, it's like, it's that building up from somebody else that we're not expecting to say anything, because this guy was crusty, really crusty. And just the simple fact that, that was his version of a compliment, was nice, and I think that's probably the first I ever really felt like, okay, I'm where I should be. So, but, we all feel that. It's definitely, it's a job hazard for women for sure. We feel that way, I think, in a lot of roles. Anybody else got anything to add? No? Okay. Well, so we're going to leave the expo open, so you guys can go and check out some of the booths. So our speakers have some booths there. We also have the booth for collecting feedback. The people who are doing the feedback, the company's Intercept, and they are new to us, and they're a fairly new startup. So, check out what they're doing too. They're doing some cool things with some other businesses to gain like live video testimonial feedback for other products, for like product happiness. And so they're a small team of startup guys, and they actually basically enabled this tool for us to gather feedback just, because they could. And they didn't charge us anything for it. They're just helping us. And so, check out their booth, because they've got a cool study in there. And there's plenty of us in this field that, we like feedback. That's a part of what we do as part of our entire process. So check that out. And then, we've got the tables in there too. So the tables are there. We're going to leave it open. If you guys actually want to go meet and grab something that's better than a tea or a coffee, we can meet at the booths and have a virtual happy hour too. So all good. But it's been there's Luis. See, he came in. I said happy hour.
I had to. I actually, you know what? I have to say something, because what Heather was talking about, I mean, I feel like that this can be kind of a valuable, I guess, sort of perspective on things. Heather, you were saying how it was almost like the space, like you felt like it was easier to be open in this environment. And that really is something that stood out to me. And as somebody who is an event producer and a community builder, that's what I'm going for. So when you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is. And I did feel it. I'm like, people are willing to be vulnerable in space, and you can't, like, especially in a virtual environment, you're already kind of like off kilter because you're in front of a camera and it's a computer. It's like, you're just in front of a machine essentially. But, for us to be human within this digital environment is really, really important to me. And so if I can communicate anything, it's kind of that. Like I had said a couple of years at one of my last conferences that, building community right now is almost like an act of rebellion, because so many things that are trying to split people apart. But if there's one thing that TLDC is, it's like just trying to bring people together. So I think there was a question about how we might be different from ATD. And I think I know ATD is trying to bring together, but I think they're a little more focused on the material, and I'm more focused on the people. So that would be the primary difference. And also, your memberships are pretty much what keeps me sane. Like if you buy a membership, it helps pay the bills. and my wife doesn't, give me that look every time we have to balance our checkbook, or if people even do that anymore. But anyway, all together. But thank you, and I'm glad that you guys got out of the event, and thank you so much for all your help putting it together.
Yeah, that was great. I actually am going to go get an adult beverage, and I'll probably go sit at one of the tables if anybody wants to join me. Yep. So,
Same here.
I mean, this feels real to me. It's like sitting in the living room with it. So, and with the audience as well, to see the comments. And so same thing. So, the audience, by the way, when you sit down at these tables, it pops up in a window like this. So, if you want to join us, please do, adult beverage or not, you're welcome. Mine is only a glass of wine, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm not making Mai Tais. So,
oh, come on.
I have fresh pineapple though, so I could. Awesome. We'll save the Mai Tais for when we do this, like as a real content in, I guess, Vegas. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I'm for Vegas.
Yes. All right, I'll see you guys at a table.
All right, sounds good. All right, take care, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.